Hi guys, welcome to yet another episode of Microsoft ERP Beginners Tutorial Series. In the past 3 episodes, we have been discussing about the transfer orders and various features and scenarios using the transfer orders. And this is again going to be the continuation, and in this episode we will be again discussing about the transfer order and some of the interesting scenarios related with the transfer orders in Microsoft Dynamics 365. And this is going to be the last part where I will be talking about the transfer order. In the next episode, we will be moving forward with other topics related with inventory management module. So with that note, let's get started. Guys, welcome back again. So in this episode, we are going to cover some of the interesting scenarios about the transfer orders which we could not cover in our previous 3 parts. So let's get into the transfer orders and explore the scenario one by one. For getting into transfer order, we know that it's inventory management module. Click on the transfer order. So I'm going to create a new transfer order. So let's just create the transfer order and use the same warehouse which we normally use from the past 3 episodes. So that's going to be my from warehouse, and that's going to be my to warehouse, and I'm going to add just one item line. Let's say I'm going to add the item 58, which is the shock absorber, and I'm going to add 10 quantity of this item. Save it. So I'm going to process this transfer order. So this actually also has that automatic reservation parameter turned on, which we have discussed in the previous episode. If you just go to the header and check out, you will have the reservation turned on. So it is an automatic reservation parameter we already discussed in the previous episode. So this particular item at the moment, that is 10 quantity of this item, is reserved against this transfer order automatically. So if I get into this particular transfer order and check the transactions, I will see that it is reserved physical. So now what I'm planning to do is I'm planning to, as usual, go ahead and create a picking list for my warehouse worker to go ahead and pick this inventory. So let me click the picking list. So here I'm going to use all quantity, so which means I want to create a picking list for all the 10 quantity. So the picking list is created, and let's get into the pick list registration. This is a process to simulate the warehouse worker is actually going to the shelf and picking it. So I'm going to just change the scenario here a little bit. So I'm going to assume that the warehouse worker decided to only pick 5 out of 10 quantity due to various reasons. So I'm going to split this line into 5 each. So let me just put 5 here and say okay. So that single line of 10 quantity will now be split into 2 lines. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to first pick the first 5. So I go to the update, or maybe I will go to the second 5 and cancel the line, because I've decided not to pick them for now. So I'm canceling the second line, and I'm only going to pick the first 5. So which means I go to the update all. So the first line is completed, so that means that is picked. Even the handling status is changed to completed, meaning the 5 quantity out of 10 is successfully picked now. So now I'm going to just refresh it and ship them out from my current warehouse. So here I can change it to picked, so it will automatically sense the picked quantity and say okay. So now the picked quantity of 5 is successfully shipped from my CS1 warehouse, CW1 warehouse. So the shipment is done for the 5, and you see that the status is still created in the transfer order. That's because of the partial delivery scenario, which means that we only partially shipped and the remaining 5 is still in the current CW1 warehouse, and that's the reason the status of the transfer order is still created. So what now I have decided is, let's see that now you have that the ship amount quantity, the ship remaining is still 5, right? So what I have decided is I do not want the remaining 5 to be shipped, so I'm just going to cancel the remaining delivery reminder, so which means the 5 is now being cancelled. So now the ship reminder is 0, so even the status is successfully changed to ship. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to receive the 5 which is coming to the destination warehouse from the destination warehouse. So here I'm going to change it to shipment and choose the shipment voucher. That is the shipment voucher, right? So now I'm going to receive the 5 partial quantities. So what happens is, while receiving this partial quantity, the system will not receive it and system will throw you an error. So the error says that it is under delivery of 50% is not allowed. Only allowed under delivery percentage is 0. So as a beginner, whenever you get this error, and I really get a lot of questions on these areas in LinkedIn or in the personal chat on why do we get this error, right? So so here we have not defined the under delivery percentage for this item, and that's causing this issue actually. So at the moment, there is no under delivery for this particular item is allowed, but we are at the moment processing an under delivery of 50%, meaning we have even cancelled the delivery reminder, and out of 10, we are now planning to only ship 5, and the other 5 is never going to come. So which means it's a 50% under delivery. The planned quantity was 10, but only 50 quantity is reaching the destination. But this item, according to the setup, the under delivery is not allowed. 0% is allowed, right? So that is the reason why the system is not letting us to proceed further. So just in case if you not sure about what do I mean by under delivery or over delivery, you need to refer to my past episodes. We have already covered this in the past in this particular series. So please refer to some of my past lectures to understand about the under delivery and over delivery. So now to fix this issue, we have to go fix it in 3 different places. One is in the transfer order parameters, and number 2 is within the item master itself, and number 3 is within the transfer order. Okay, so let's go one by one and try to fix this issue. So the number 1, as I mentioned, is within the parameter. So get into the inventory management parameters and get into the transfer order tab, and in the transfer order tab you have different areas here. So I'm not going to do anything with the over delivery, so I'm only going to turn on the under delivery here. Okay, so that's one setup that you need to do in the parameter level. Just save it, and I'm going to get into the transfer order itself. Okay, so that's the transfer order and that's the item. So let me get into the item master. So under the item master, get into in the edit mode and get into the manage inventory tab, that one. Under the manage inventory tab, there is an over delivery and under delivery field. So we are not going to do anything about the over delivery for now. So for under delivery, you can make it as 50 percentage. So which means 50 percentage of under delivery is allowed. So in our case, it's actually 50 percentage, meaning out of 10, we are shipping 5, right? So 50 percentage. So by putting 50 here, it will still fix the issue. But anyways, I'm going to just put 100. So which means out of 10, even if I ship one, it will still not be under delivery because 100 percentage of under delivery is allowed in this particular case. So that is the setup, which is the second setup that we need to do. And since we have already created the transfer order and then we are making changes to the item level, the third setup that we need to do is we need to change the percentage manually here within this particular section. Okay, so we need to make it as 100% under the under delivery section. So this normally you don't need to manually key in because it will automatically come in from the item master directly. So we need to in this case manually key in because we had made changes to the item master after creation of this particular transfer order. So now if I am going to just refresh it and trying to go and receive this particular item and say that shipment is this and the quantity is 5 and say okay. You see that the error is fixed and we have successfully shipped the partial quantity of 5 into the other warehouse. So this is the scenario related with under delivery, and I really wanted to let you know if you get this error, how do we go ahead with it. And the under delivery and over delivery is not just applicable for the purchase order, sales order, but it's also applicable for the transfer order. So not many people are aware of the under delivery and over delivery for the transfer orders. So just wanted to highlight this topic. So now let's get into our next scenario, which is also a similar one, which is to do with multiple shipments. So now if I do repeat the same scenario again with the new transfer order, let's say that that's the source warehouse and that's the destination. I'm going to use the same example item, 58. Let's do the same, or not 58. Maybe I will use another item with no under delivery setup. So this is a new item. It doesn't have any under delivery percentage setup. Again, I'm going to use 10 item. Save it. So let's repeat the same scenario. That is, I'm going to do the picking list and I'm going to do all. Okay. So the picking list registration will now be enabled. So get in there and try to split it again. Let's split it as 5 like before. And I'm going to cancel the second line. And the first line is activated. So let me go and update all, and that's done. So we have successfully partially picked 5 and refresh it, and I'm going to ship the 5. So change it to picked quantity, so you will get the 5 here. Say okay. So we have successfully shipped the 5. Okay, so now I'm going to ship the remaining 5 which we have cancelled. So for that I can create another picking list and say all quantity, so it will automatically show you only the 5 because only 5 is the remaining quantity which is unpicked, and that will create a picking list. So you can even check the picking list. You will have 2 picking list. One is this one and the other is with only 5 quantity. So I can get into the picking list registration from here and update all, so which means the remaining 5 is also picked successfully. And I'm going to choose another shipment and ship them. So maybe they are going in 2 different containers as a 2 different shipments. So this is the second shipment that's picked, which is 5, and say OK. So I have sent both the item back to back in 2 different shipment, 5 in each shipments. At the receiving end from the destination warehouse, you have a choice now. That is, you can choose by shipment level. So which means you have 2 shipments here, that one, and you can receive them. So, or you can even use all option, assuming that both the shipment arrived at the doorstep at the same time. So you can just process all of them together. So you can choose all in such cases. So in this case, I'm going to go shipment by shipment level. So here, if I choose the first shipment, which is partial delivery again, right? Because I'm only receiving the first 5. But in this scenario, I will not get the under delivery error. Okay, the under delivery error is applicable only for the previous scenario. If you see, this is successfully processed, because in the previous scenario we have did a delivery reminder cancellation, meaning we instructed the system that only 5 will be delivered out of 10, remaining 5 is cancelled. So that's why the system qualified it to be an under delivery scenario. But in this case, we still have the remaining 5 to be received, and it will be a part of your next shipment. System is aware of that. So the system in this case will not qualify this particular situation as an under delivery scenario. Okay, so now I can choose my second shipment and go ahead and receive it. So both of them are successfully received. So the status um, of the transfer order will change to received because all the quantity is successfully received. So that's your scenario number 2 that I wanted to show you. So since we are talking about the status of the transfer order being received, I suddenly remember one another interesting scenario which I'm sure you should be aware of. So let's get started with a third scenario related with the status of the transfer order. So let me get into another new transfer order. So let's again choose the same warehouse. This is the destination. Let's add the line. I'm going to add 2 items here. Let it be shock absorber and stabilizer, 1 each. So we have 2 items here. So suddenly, as soon as I create a transfer order document and I added 2 lines, I decided that this transfer order needs to be cancelled. We do not want this transfer order. So in such cases, either you can go ahead and delete the transfer order, or for some reason, since you have created a transfer order, you want to maintain the record of it and you do not want to cancel it, then we can also cancel it by the delivery reminder against every single line. So here I'm going to cancel the first line. So the first line is cancelled. So if you see the the reminder, there's no reminder here, only there is a reminder here. So I can also choose that line and go ahead and cancel it. So when both the lines are cancelled in the transfer order, the status we expect in the header level is something like cancelled, correct? But as we know that the transfer order has only three status: created, shipped and received, right? So let's go to the second line, and I also cancel the second line. So this is a way that I'm going to cancel the entire transfer order. So if I cancel the entire lines in the transfer order, the status will surprisingly changes to received, because the transfer order header status, there's no such status called cancel exist in the transfer order. So if I cancel all the lines in the transfer order, the status of the transfer order will still be received. Okay. This is actually what Microsoft is referring to, is we have received all, I mean, all the quantity, like, zero quantity of all the items are successfully received, something like that, right? So so this is actually could misguide you a little bit, because in the transfer order line level you see two quantities, and then the status is received, so you may get misguided that you have actually received them, but they are not received, the lines are actually cancelled. So that's something that I wanted to highlight as a third scenario. So now let's get in with the fourth scenario. So in the fourth scenario, let's create a new transfer order again. Click on the new button. Um, warehouse 1, warehouse 2, and add a line. I'm going to add the same item line again. So we know that, next step we normally do is we go to the ship and we generate a picking list. So when your warehouse is really big and you want your warehouse worker to go and pick it, so you want to generate a pick list form for the warehouse worker to take a printout of it, go and pick it from the location, and you want to also register your picking, so you go and post the pick list registration. So when you post the pick list registration, what happens is the inventory here, the inventory transaction here changes to picked. So ultimately, at the moment, it is reserved physical, because it is just reserved against this transfer order. But when we go and do the pick list registration, ultimately the status here changed to picked, right? So that's the whole point in going ahead and doing a picking from the pick list registration, which is the inventory transaction also changes to picked, right? But just in case if your inventory is small and you really do not want to go through the process of pick list registration and generating pick list, but you still want the inventory status to change to picked, so in such cases you do not want to go and always do this. Even at the line level, we have an option within the inventory tab, where you can go and click on pick button. So in this case, the pick button needs to be processed specific to each line. So if you have 5 lines of item, you need to get into each of the item and pick them separately, unlike the pick registration, which can be done in bulk or for all the lines, right? So if you really do not want to use the pick list registration, but still you want the inventory status to be updated as picked in the inventory transactions, then you can use even the pick from the line level. So here, you will get the screen, and you can just click on the add picking line. If just in case if you have more than one quantity and you want to partially pick out of 10 only 5, then you can even update the picking quantity here. In this case, my picking quantity is only picked quantity is only 1, so I cannot change the quantity. I'm going to go ahead with picking all of them. So confirm pick all. So at the moment it is successfully picked, right? So we can even pick through other line level. So if I now go and check the inventory transactions, you will see that the shoe is picked. So that's another way that you can go ahead and pick your transfer order. And lastly, in one of my video, I think in the part 1 of the transfer order video, I have mentioned that as soon as you post the ship transfer order, and you post it, you as soon as you post it, there's no way that you can cancel the transfer order. So you need to be very mindful before you post the ship transfer order, because the costings and everything needs to be managed. If you want to cancel it manually is what I mentioned. But one of our subscriber has commented in the video stating that there is the new feature recently released by Microsoft which enables you to cancel the transfer order even after posting the ship transfer order, which is really good. But I have not got time to explore the feature yet. So, but just in case if I explore the feature in the future, I will definitely share that with you. For now, you can go ahead and explore the feature. So I just wanted to highlight it so that I don't misguide you with any of the features of Microsoft. So that is the complete features related with transfer orders. I think I've covered almost all major features within the transfer order. Hope you enjoyed this entire transfer order series. See you again in the next episode where we will be moving further with another inventory management journal, and we will be exploring them deeply just like how we explore transfer order.